Harry and Lola meet Santa Paws. This is the real Harry and Lola, and this is a story about their Christmas adventure. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and what could they eat? Not a bone, not a crumb, not the tiniest treat. Lola stopped reading aloud and looked up. This story is way too sad. I can't imagine having nothing to eat, especially at Christmas. She said this to her friends Harry and Smokey. The three best friends lay beneath the Christmas tree enjoying the wonderful smells drifting from the kitchen. It was the eve of Harry and Lola's first Christmas in their new forever home. Smokey looked thoughtfully at his friends and said, "Of course you know that some dogs really don't have a thing to eat on Christmas. Not even one single crumb, just like it said in the story." "No, that can't be true. That's terrible," said Lola. The very thought of having no food made her stomach growl. Even when she and Harry had been orphans, there was always food. "There must be something we can do to help," said Harry, glancing at the pork chew he was and thinking of whether or not he could possibly share it if he had to. "Indeed there is," said Smokey, "if you truly care about others." Harry sat up very straight. Lola peeked at Harry and sat up even straighter. "We do care," Harry insisted. Lola added, "We don't want a single dog to starve." "Well then," Smokey continued, "how about helping Santa Paws?" Harry cocked his ear. "You mean Santa Claus?" "No, I mean Santa Paws," Smokey replied. Santa Paws was one of Santa Claus' helpers, and he looked a lot like you two, come to think of it. He loved giving food to hungry dogs at Christmas, so Santa Claus shared his magic with Paws, and he even gave him a big red dog sled for delivering food and treats. "Really?" asked Lola. "His own sled?" Lola sprang to her feet. She loved any kind of travel. "How do we find him?" "You probably know," Smokey continued, "that Santa Claus lives and works at the North Pole, but Santa Paws lives in the far north of Canada. He has a special shop there where he creates healthy food and mouth-watering treats." "How do we get there?" asked Lola, her tail wagging. She could tell this would be a great adventure. "You have to do three things," Smokey replied. "First, you have to want to make Christmas happy for someone else, not just yourself." Harry, who loved making others happy, saw no problem in this, but Lola hesitated just for a second. "What's next?" asked Harry, giving Lola an encouraging wink. "You have to fill your hearts with courage," said Smokey. He fluffed out his fur, making himself look twice as big, for that is how courage looks to a cat. Harry and Lola opened their eyes wide. Each was imagining how it would feel to fly through the night sky in an open-air sled around the world. That would take more courage than anything they had ever done. But they were Scotties, and Scotties were born with courage. "We're ready for anything," Harry declared boldly. Lola snuggled close to him, sure that she could be brave as any dog as long as she was with Harry. "What's the third thing?" they asked together. "Repeat the magic words I gave Harry," Smokey started to say, and Lola barely had time to slip into her Christmas coat before the words were out of Harry's mouth. "Sneezy, sneezy, zippity-doo, away we go to meet Santa Paws too." Whoosh! A mighty gust of wind flattened Lola's hair, and Harry tried to peek out through his eyes, but all he could see was blinding, whirling snow. And then they heard the sounds of cheerful chatter drifting over the night air. The Scotties found themselves standing before a giant doghouse built of sturdy logs, its roof frosted with snow. They peered through the open front door, drawn by the welcoming glow of lanterns. Workers were stuffing packages with dog treats and delicious-looking food. Oh, how Lola wanted a taste. More workers were loading packages into a brilliant red sled. "Do you think we could have one teensy-weensy bit?" Lola started to whisper in Harry's ear, but she was interrupted by a deep voice with a Scottish lilt. "Welcome, Harry and the magical Scotty and wee lass Lola," the voice said. They turned to see a handsome white Scotty with twinkling eyes dressed in a red winter suit. They instantly knew who he was. Harry, always good in social situations, stepped right up. Lola hung back, peering over Harry's shoulder. "What can I do for ye?" Santa Paws asked. "It's Christmas Eve, and we have heard that you help dogs in need. We want to help too." Santa Paws said, "Aye, laddie, you are just in time. We're about to leave, and I can use two brave and good-hearted Scotties to help me pass all this food out." Brave and good-hearted. Lola felt so proud. For a moment, she almost forgot how the scent of dog treats was making her hungry. "Meet my helpers," Santa Paws was saying. Harry and Lola quickly Harry gave Lola a quick nudge, and the two Scotties scampered to the front of the sled to see four sleek silver-gray huskies. Their moist black noses reached for Lola, who came only up to their knees, and she shrank back. But Harry, remembering the importance of her courageous heart, stepped forward, greeting all four in turn. Santa Paws said, "This is my lead dog, Thistle, the sharpest and the only lass in the bunch. Next is Wolfer, the loudest, Valor the bravest, and Fleetwood the fastest. These courageous characters can face down any troublemakers we may meet." Harry and Lola were impressed by their heroic team, but what was this about troublemakers? Could they run into trouble on Christmas Eve? "Hop aboard," Santa Paws said, and no sooner did they do so than the sled gave a mighty shake and floated up, slow and easy at first, then sailing over the mountains, farms, rivers, and cities with the speed and grace of a shooting star. Harry and Lola sat right up front, where they could see everything, including the tiny, glowing blue and white ball that was Earth, now miles below them. Lola snuggled deep into the fur rug covering the mountain of packages, breathing in the wonderful doggy food smells and wishing this magical ride would never end. They traveled and stopped for what seemed like days, though it was really only a few hours. Harry loved the sudden, swift dives to Earth. Lola loved sharing food, and they both noticed something. Unlike Santa Claus, Santa Paws was not stopping at homes. Instead, they went into back alleys in the cities and to barns and sheds in the country. At each stop, hungry dogs ran to greet them, drawn by the friendly sound of the jingling bells. They noticed something else, too. Wolfer, Valor, Fleetwood, and Thistle could slip in and out of their harnesses in a flash, even before the sled came to a stop. How did they do that? Lola was determined to figure it out, for she often wore a collar and thought slipping out of it could be a very nifty trick, especially when she wanted to chase a squirrel. As they neared the end of their journey, the sky was purple velvet splashed with stars. Filled with a sense of adventure, the Christmas troop sailed over the vast sandy deserts and wide green plains of Africa, through a country where no snow falls in December. There were very few lights in the villages below, and this time, for some reason, Harry and Lola found themselves holding their breath as the sled made its rapid descent. This stop was going to be different, they could tell. As they came closer to Earth, a loud commotion raised the hair on the back of their necks. This time, no dogs ran to greet them. Instead, a puppy was squealing loudly and desperately. They all recognized the sound of terror, but mixed in with it was an eerie howling the Scotties had not recognized. Something evil and dangerous. Harry growled deep in his throat. Lola's eyes widened. Troublemakers, she thought. Surely they wouldn't be a match for four brave huskies and two courageous Scotties. Or would there be three courageous Scotties? Maybe, if Lola could find it in herself to face real danger. The sled stopped atop a rock outcropping from which the group could take in the whole meadow at a glance. In the glow of the setting moon, they saw a sight that made Lola's blood go cold. A small puppy, eyes with fear and tail tucked beneath him, was spinning, trying to face 6 vicious attackers coming from all sides at once. Lola had never seen these dog-like creatures before. They had long front legs, short back legs, and massive chests. Their yellow eyes gleamed and their tongues dripped from black, laughing mouths. "Hyenas," Thistle snarled. "Hyenas," Lola whispered to herself, and the words sent a pang of fear through her heart. Wolfer, Valor, Fleetwood, and Thistle slipped from their harnesses and leaped into the heart of the battle. Harry and Santa Paws followed as quickly as their little legs could take them. Lola had never seen Harry move so fast. Everything in her told her to stay in the sled and hide. But could she let Harry face those hyenas without her? Then, as one hyena lunged for the puppy, Lola's fear gave way to rage, and she tore across the meadow, her heart pounding in her ears. The huskies didn't hesitate. Teeth bared, they rushed at the hyenas, nipping their spotted legs. Valor put himself between the puppy and an attacking hyena, driving the beast deep into the brush. Thistle took on 3 of the bullies at once, charging and snapping, while Fleetwood and Wolfer chased off the other 2. Though Harry and Santa Paws weren't fast enough to catch the hyenas, they created a deafening ruckus. Amidst all the hullabaloo, Lola crouched beside the whimpering, shivering puppy. He realized from her face that she was a friend. "We're here to help you," Lola told him, licking his tears away and staying close so he could feel her warmth. The puppy's name was Rufus, which means red, and everyone agreed it was the perfect name, for he was a blazing golden red. Surrounded by his friends, Rufus calmed down enough to explain that somehow he'd gotten lost and wasn't sure how to get back. Luckily, the group had spotted his village coming in and were happy to escort him home. Thistle said that it was unlikely the hyenas would return. It was quiet when the weary group reached the village outskirts. Everyone, it seemed, was sound asleep. Santa Paws and the others didn't linger, but gave Rufus enough treats to share with friends and said goodbye. The puppy's eyes showed what was in his heart. "Thank you. I'll remember you forever." Just before dawn, back at Santa's shop, an early Christmas brunch was served, reminding Lola she was famished. Harry dove right in, closing his eyes with delight as he munched. Never had he tasted food this good. As they ate, Santa Paws told the story of how he'd begun his Christmas runs. He explained that Santa Claus had his hands full taking gifts to children around the world, and someone had to take care of the dogs in need. Although dogs are called man's best friend, he added too many dogs wind up lost or forsaken by their families, and each year he said there would always seem to be a dog or two that needed rescuing. Lola stopped chewing for a moment, recalling the gleaming yellow eyes and long fangs of the hyenas. She had to confess, she just couldn't have everyone thinking she was filled with courage when she wasn't. In a small voice she said that even though she had promised to be brave, she had been frightened right to the bone. Santa Paws said softly, "You and Harry are the two bravest helpers I've ever had." Harry looked at Lola with love. "To be afraid, but face danger anyway," Santa Paws went on. "That's true courage. Thanks to you and the team, Rufus had a happy and safe Christmas. I hope you will help me again next year and every year." Their hearts soared as they were serenaded by Wolfer, Valor, Fleetwood, and Thistle, howling the story of the dog's victory over the hyenas. Lola joined in, her tiny soprano voice blending with the rich baritones of the huskies. Eventually, Harry whispered that it was time to go. Lola asked if he could please wait just 1 second, as she had a very urgent question to ask the huskies. But Harry was already saying the magic words, "Sneezy, sneezy, zippity-doo, it's home for Christmas," and just in time, too. And just like that, they were back in their bed, where wonderful smells of baking filled the house. "You never gave me time to ask the huskies how they got out of their harnesses," Lola said, turning to Harry. But he was already asleep. Lola closed her eyes, picturing Rufus's face and thinking of how good it felt to help all those dogs in need. She wasn't sure if it was a memory, a dream, or a real echo. But plain as anything, she heard the voice of Santa Claus calling out, "Merry Christmas, dear dogs. May you have a good night." If you want to join Santa Paws team and become an official Santa Paws helper, make any size donation to any dog rescue organization. Tell us by reaching us at our website, harryandlola.org, and we will send you an official Santa Paws helper poster just like this one. Merry Christmas.